If we look at employers, what are they looking at to imbibe? What are those 21st century skills that are important? Those skill sets are critical thinking, which is extremely important. Employers are looking out for problem solvers. We do not find those answers in the textbooks, but each country, each economy has its own challenges. The challenges of water management, energy, environment, empowerment, education for all. For these, you need critical thinking skills, you need attention to detail, collaboration, living with diversity, tolerance. These are the skill sets that need to be imbibed. So we as educators need to raise that question, how our education system, whether it's the curriculum, it's pedagogy, capacity building of teachers, how do we make sure that these skills get imbibed in a classroom setting? So as I shared, Satya talks about, he's an avid learner, even till this day. He says he buys and reads more books every week than he can probably cope up with. With the change that's happening, each one of us needs to evolve, learn, and have an open mind. We need to listen, adapt, and grow, and we need to unfreeze the mindsets. If we look at what's happening in today's schools and educational institutions, the data is startling. It says that across the globe there is research which says that less than 40% of the students who attend classes are engaged in the classroom. There are 59% of the student population who wants to become entrepreneurs. And to become entrepreneurs, you need to be proactive, you need to take risks, you need to challenge the conventional mindsets. And as educational institutions, are we doing that? And 43% of the students, 59% of the students say that whatever they learned in their life, they learned on the job, and it was not through the educational institutions where they studied for their younger years. So the context is transformation. The context is that at the end of our education experience, or while we are within an institution, our students and teachers should be able to do so much more, should be able to solve complex problems and cope up with the real world. If we look at, there are going to be more than 100 or 600 million jobs that would be created over the next 20 to 30 years, and 70% of those jobs are not even created as yet. There is convergence of technologies. So if that's the real world that we are talking about, what kind of competencies is our education system creating? At Microsoft, we embrace the fundamental philosophy that UNESCO has postulated to create an innovation framework in education, which places the learner at the core of the entire experience. So all our efforts have to be focused on the student. He and the teacher has to be a facilitator. But to ensure that learning, there are multiple stakeholders that play an important role. First and foremost is the leadership culture. We need to have a vision and a culture of innovation, and investment in teacher capacity building, investment in innovation and pedagogies has to be led by the leadership. We also have, in the same framework, we also have, for instance, you just need to go back to the framework. We also have a role for capacity building of teachers, because our biggest link to bring about a transformation is the teacher. So his exposure to pedagogical innovation is the key. We also need to look at the learning environment that plays a very big role. The workplaces of the future are very different. For instance, at Microsoft, when we come to work, there is no fixed seat. There are no fixed seats for anyone. Everybody can work and sit anywhere, get connected. There are no hierarchies, there are no boundaries, there's a lot of flexibility. So how do we recreate those elements and help our workforce to embrace and learn those technologies? So the context is a transformation framework. At Microsoft, they have worked for several years with the policy makers. When usually we talk about embracing ICT, the conversation is about, should I buy this device? Should I embrace that network? Should I take up this operating system? The conversations are broken. So as you know, it was being discussed in the earlier session as well, technology is a part of transformation framework. We need to have the 21st century learning, and then we need to look at, it's the entire context of bringing about a change. We need to have change in the leadership orientation. We need to have a change in the mindset of the teachers. We need to have student readiness, infrastructure readiness. So all those, we do those intensive one-week workshops for the leaders. Our global experts come and they have worked with the policy makers. There are white papers that you can go through, that if you are developing an ICT vision for your school, how can you systematically address all the questions that need to be looked into when embracing technology. So if you look at when people deploy ICT, where is it being used? How computers are being used, or how different devices are being used? It's seen that more than 50% of the times, the technology is just being used for internet access or finding information. If we look at and compare this, and it's just 5 to 10% of the time that the technology is being deployed for conducting research. And if we look at the Bloom's taxonomy, so we need to embrace the 21st century skills. We need to take the students from just memorizing or understanding to application, which is at the top of the pyramid. So if we have to have the journey of people using problem solving, making recommendations, critically analyzing things, then technology, the teachers and the students have to be prepared so that they can use it effectively for making prescriptions, for making collaborative projects. So there has to be an entirely different way of engaging with the tools. So technology, whenever we're talking about embracing it, it's not just for professional success, but also personal success as well. And we need to create multiple scenarios. And when we are designing for learning and technology, we also need to look at multiple forms of expression. So it's not just a PowerPoint presentation, or it's not just a visual and an audio depiction. There could be multiple ways in which those expressions can be made. As I said, very often the debate is, should I use a PC, should I use a tablet, or should I use another device? Also, there is this constant question being raised that writing skills are important, and how do I integrate writing, and how do I enmesh technology? So today there are options available where you can have collaborative tools, you can write, you can have the power of a pen integrated with the ICT content that is available. And Meenakshi, who is my colleague, and she's an evangelist and has been an academic, will share some instances on this. Next. So I would like to share one example here. Here is a case of a teacher. She's based, her name is Bijal Damini. She works out of Rajkot in a private institution. And she had a group of disinterested students. And she was called by the principal, please engage them meaningfully. So what she did was, her passion was towards entrepreneurship. One way would have been to teach entrepreneurship the conventional manner. What is entrepreneurship? What are the factors for success? What are the models, the theoretical bit? So instead of taking the theoretical path, she created a scenario where they developed a website which is called as Online Bazaar. And they got some products from the marketplace. The students made adaptation. And the products were put on the website. Parents were invited. Other communities were invited. And it became a huge success. So she was teaching entrepreneurship through project-oriented approach, teaching them the concepts of product development, marketing, putting teams together, taking them to the marketplace. Over over 4 years that she did this intervention, she raised $100,000, which she contributed to the education of underprivileged girls. And she has been nominated for several awards. She's a recipient of the President's Award this year as well. She has been invited by Wharton and some international universities as well to share how a teacher with her ordinary project but extraordinary vision created an impact, touching students, touching the lives of other people. Likewise, I would like to share another example. Here technology, we're not talking of a school in a big city. It's a case of Sri government. There was an equipment that was installed which would through which there are, in a TV, when the relay is made, there are unused frequencies. So through that equipment in that remote area, there were 4 hubs that were created in a vicinity of 10 kilometers. And when this equipment was placed, through the TV, internet access could be made. And through that base station, 4 schools in remote areas got connected. We trained the teachers just for 1 week on teaching with technology. And the results were amazing. We spent time with the students. They could not speak English. They were Telugu speaking. We taught them instances of a mysteries guide. Let's say I have a school here in India and we just show a video. There's a school in, let's say, Singapore. And we discover each other where you are. We teach concepts of geography through it. Are you in the northern hemisphere? Southern hemisphere? Is there an ocean body on the left or the right? Is it a tourism destination? Is there a mountain peak? They ask questions and they discover each other's destination. This school Skyped with Satya Nadella. He was visiting Kenya that day. And within 1 week, we ourselves saw the limitations of a language, geography, connectivity being overcome. It was a great moment for us to see those girls Skyping with another, and language was not, and like they were never exposed to this technology, and yet they embraced it. Yeah, these are some snapshots of Satya talking to the girls. Recently, again, we had a school in Andhra Pradesh. In 48 hours, they reached out to more than 38 countries and had cultural exchanges with multiple countries, talking about culture, talking about, multiple aspects of India. And it was, they did more than 1 million miles connecting all their teachers and students connected globally. So there are beautiful examples of how learning and teaching can be transformed by mere applications of these technologies. Yeah. In education, we work closely in K-12. We have teaching with technology modules that are available online. These are hands-on. There are apps on 21st century learning. We also work on Classroom of the Future, and we also work with state governments as well, reaching across to the remotest part of the country, working with school teachers on teaching with technology. Likewise, we have Student Ambassador Program, a Showcase School Program, Expert Educator Program, where we fundamentally invest in capacity building of teachers and project-oriented learning, where they can apply these tools in real-life situations. Next. So innovative schools have one-to-one learning approach. It's not about just using a device, but using educational scenarios to build the right competencies. Next, please. Next. These are some examples of our schools located across India, which are closely working with us. We have about 73 showcase and associate showcase schools across India. Next. And also, I would just say that there was a concept of peer-assisted learning that was brought up. So Microsoft has about 1 million plus teachers on something called as EduZone. One can log in by just an email and a password, and you have access to multiple resources. You can attend webinars, you can connect to the global community, you can share instances of learning, you can pose problems, and there could be mentors and peers from across the globe who will be able to work with you. So it's a peer-assisted learning, so it's not just about one-hour training that one does and goes back. It is about lifelong learning, lifelong connectivity, and sharing of experiences and building up on those networks. So, and also for students, we do multiple iterations on there is free computer science curriculum, coding curriculum, entrepreneurship curriculum that you can log in and just, have access to it. We do recognition moments as well. There is Imagine Cup, students can be exposed to app development. In fact, we have a global community of student ambassadors. And the students who have created best community projects to orchestrate change with mentorship from the teachers are invited to Redmond to connect with global student community. So there are a lot of instances where we have created scenarios on how these tools and technologies can be applied. In the end, I'll just share a video on the Skype where between two countries, even because of language, despite language barriers, people connected and discovered each other. And then I would request Meenakshi to share her perspectives with you. Thank you.
Yes. Do you live in Central Mexico?
Sí. ¿Te encuentras en Estados Unidos de América?
Yes. Do you live in a capital city?
Sí. ¿Estás cerca de Seattle?
We're very close to Seattle. Are you in Mexico City?
Sí. ¿Estás en Tacoma?
Yes. Very good guess.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Do you like living in Mexico City?
¿Te gusta vivir en la Ciudad de México?
Aquí está muy lindo.
Here is very nice.
What do you do for fun?
¿Qué haces para divertirte?
Voy a las playas de México.
I'm going to the beaches of Mexico.
I like to swim.
Me gusta nadar.
A mí también.
Me too.
Where in the world do you wish to travel?
¿A dónde en el mundo te gustaría viajar?
A Rusia.
To Russia.
¿Y tú?
And you?
Everywhere.
Sería increíble algún día verte en México.
It would be amazing to see you someday in Mexico.
I would really like to visit you sometime.
Me gustaría mucho visitarte algún día.
A mí también.
Me too.
Good afternoon to you all. Lots has been said about technology, how to use, where to bring in. I want to start by telling you that I was awarded Microsoft Educator Expert last year, and I'm now a fellow, and I must say the journey has been truly, truly transformational for me. When you see that word transformational, it seems like, how can it happen for me? But I can tell you, and I can vouch for it, that it has just happened. How? I'm going to share some examples of how we are using technologies in the classroom. I am also a master trainer for Microsoft. Therefore, I'm here to share many, many classrooms with you. I can take you around to many classrooms who have already implemented and are enjoying the benefits of it. Okay. I don't want to deviate from your focus. The focus is 21st century learning. 4 basic C's here. We've been talking about critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, and communication. I would put communication on top because communication for me will take care of the rest. There are very, many tools available on Microsoft which can help you create and bring this to your classroom. How? Collaborative learning spaces can be created by creating learning spaces where students can work together simultaneously. Of course, this has to be online, but even if you're offline, you're sharing the same document, working on the same document. Let's say there are about 6, 7, 8 children in a group who want to work on a particular topic. They're working together, even if they're not online at that time, it doesn't matter. Because as much you want to put data, you want to put in this, you may put it. And the moment you come into a Wi-Fi or an internet zone, it'll automatically get synced and you will have a whole learning space which is totally collaborative. Feedback, real time. Feedback, I think, is the most important component for a teacher or even as a leader of the school. The first thing you want to do is, tell them that, this is good and this is not so good or this is not working. You don't want to wait for tomorrow. So real time, which means right now, sitting on any of your devices, you could just access any document somebody can send you and you can just give a very quick answer to say, you know what, this is working very well, go on. Or this is not working, let's tweak it a bit. So all of that is absolutely doable. Create and collaborate. I'm going to share some examples. Assign and track. One thing that's on mine or our minds are, is he really doing the work or is he simply copying from Google and just pasting it over here? So how to track who's doing what, who's doing how much. There's a beautiful feature in OneNote which is called Show Authors. So it shows you who's actually logged in to put in the data over there. Where has this data been picked up with? So all the links remain live over there, they don't go away. Taking you back to the video that you saw, it is such a beautiful tool that I think for the last, more than a month now, we've brought the world into our classrooms. We have reached not only with Redfield Schools, but Redfield School has done it on its own. There is a whole group of Microsoft expert educators who have traveled more than 11 countries and covered more than 1 lakh kilometers and have connected with classrooms on various themes. They have been through mystery Skypes, they've been through collaborative projects, they've brought in guest speakers, authors about whom we have read, the books that we read, they brought in those authors into their room, Skyped with them, students have spoken to them, taken on some projects of writing, and she would be deliberating on how you're writing, she would be guiding it. And of course virtual field trips. Some of them have been put up over there and you wouldn't believe it. You can actually bring elephants into your room, really not going out. You can bring them into your room, you can talk to them, you can play with them virtually. So it's a beautiful, beautiful tool. As far as collaborative projects are concerned, we have scaled projects from being within school to inter-school to inter-countries also. We've collaborated with almost 46 countries to create a beautiful project called A Day in the Life of a Student, where 80 educators actually brought out their classrooms, their daily lives, because our challenge was, how do you do it all? How do you manage it? So we created a project to share that, how do you manage it? So we took best practices from all and put them out for our educators to share, this is what I think you can do will work for you. Go back. Okay. This is a peek into one of my OneNote notebooks where we started brainstorming with students. Normally when we start brainstorming, we tell them, let's brainstorm on this topic. We give them a sheet and they start writing. But what happens is you have to wait for each one of us to write, or we write it on post-its and then we stick it, but you really cannot see what the other one's writing. So OneNote is a beautiful tool where, if you're brainstorming, each one of you can sit on your device, keep typing, and it's real time, so it gets synced and you can see what they're writing. And teacher, on the other hand, sitting on a desk, on a laptop, can actually see what students are writing, start posting her comments. So all the learning that's happening is actually live. It's collaborative and it's creative because you're actually also taking on each other's points and writing onwards. You don't need to really stop to think. Most of the times when we tell children, okay, let's think about this concept of, let's say, photosynthesis. Children blank out. Some of them just, what is photosynthesis? I've not heard of it, right? So what you do is when others are writing, you read from there, you get a clue, and your brain starts working. You start thinking. So you're brainstorming at that time. So this tool actually comes in very, very handy. Please. I talked about giving feedback. I don't need to wait for the session to end. As I give my students an assignment, I can actually access each one's notebook on my notebook because this is a class collaborative tool. Therefore, I can access and I can start giving comments. So, till the end, the paper comes to me or the project comes to me, and then I put my comments. It's there, and then I tell them, title's missing. This is right, this is not. And also, this is beautifully used in peer assessment, because if you can see, there are some authors shown. I'm not too sure whether you can see or not, but there are some brackets that are made. Now, those brackets define who's giving whom a feedback. So, it's peer assessment and peer reflection happening at the same time. Mrs. Sehgal talked about one shoe doesn't fit all. Well, yes, we have many learning styles that can fit into this. There are children in the class who might need an extra help, but who do not like when you walk past other students, stop by on their table and write something for them, or give them, or call them out and tell them, what, this is some extra work that you could do, could help you. This is absolutely discreet. You could be on your laptop, you could be anywhere, not even in the classroom, even back home when you're correcting or anything. If you feel that this student needs an extra help, just privilege him. Nobody else knows that he has been given some extra work. So there is an element of privacy in this, and all these pages or all these blocks can be locked for other students to see. Class collaborations. Normally we hear students that, I need to go to this one space because we're working together on a project. Need not anymore. Because here's a tool which can help you. You can be sitting anywhere and working. This is not only there for students but also for teachers. Finding time for staff meetings, getting the entire science department together and the maths department together is normally challenging. So what you do is you have virtual meetings, you create a notebook, you post your queries over there that, show me data on these elements. This is the way I work with many schools. So I work on a project, I design the project, share this one notebook with the group of educators, and they give me their comments, I give them my comments. So that's how it works. We don't need a face-to-face interaction, we are working virtually. They give me student samples, they give me worksheets, all on this, and it just stays. They can download anything from here, it's all accessible. Co-create, collaborate, and communicate. Like I said, this is a project that I've just talked about, so I'm just going to skip the slide. But if you notice, there are about more than 46 countries on that panel who worked on this project with us. And in case any of them, even today when I go back to look at this project, there are people who are still contributing because they want to share some more inputs. So how do I locate those in 46 countries that I have? Well, that will be in bold. As you can see, some of the countries have been put up in bold. This means they've given me some new input and I need to go check that out. Collaborative planning without real-time meeting. That's an example where the teacher shared something with me and I needed some tweaking somewhere. So that's the way, and it's all penning. I could just ink it if I have a tablet, I could type it if I have a laptop, and even on my phone I keep giving. In fact, sitting in the audience, bad manners, but I've been doing that. Communicate, collaborate with safe social networking. There are many questions that come to our students' mind, and now I know educators today like posing questions, and so do students. Students have many questions on their mind, but the 40-minute period cannot accommodate all. So what do? We give them an opportunity in a safe environment like Yammer. We post those questions, those inquiries, and the students can answer for them. I can answer, or anyone in the group can answer that question. They can find out. So this is a next factor for students to carry on learning, and the learning doesn't stop within those 40 minutes. So all the worries, all the beautiful ideas that cannot be captured in those 40 minutes can still go on over here. We could Skype with them, we could create collaborative groups. We were actually doing all of this right now, and we're basically moving from learning as a solo sport to a team sport. I think everybody in this country should learn how to program a computer because it teaches you how to think. That's Steve Jobs, and I will continue to do this. I hope I've been able to give you some insight into how we can use technology in our classrooms, and that was what I did. Thank you.